earlier, before I even got on here, I actually got to catch Gothic's live for a little bit. She was already, according to YouTube, she had already been going for like 90 minutes by the time I hopped in. And it was funny, I had Twitter open at the same time. And I ran across a post on Twitter where the Joker was pregnant in a comic strip. Yeah, I know. And I'm going to say it again. The Joker was pregnant in a comic strip. Wild. Made no sense to me. And then right after I saw that on Twitter, somebody in her chat mentioned it and she looked it up. So, because somebody in her chat mentioned a guy named Young Ripper 59 talks about it in full. We're going to get into that. We're going to watch that right now. And his video is called, yes, this is a real panel, Pregnant Joker and Pointless DC Books. And when I tell you the way my heart broke, Joker is my favorite villain. Him and Lex Luthor are my top two. So I am beyond heartbroken, okay? But let's get into the video. We gonna be disappointed together because I can't be disappointed by myself. We gonna have to be disappointed together with this one.
Now, I got so many tags in Twitter or on Twitter to cover this story. Of course, a lot of people are talking about it because of how goofy it is, but it was so low-hanging fruit that I was even considering not doing a video on it. But it's like, what can I offer that I haven't already said, or what can I offer that others aren't saying? I guess the best I could do is try to give context to it. Yes, it is real, so it's not like some, I don't know, fan fiction type of situation. Fan fiction does seem to be better. But this is not that. This is an official DC book that just came out. And I'm going to just show you guys what happened here. So I have some of the pages here. Now, the book is the 4th issue of The Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing. It's a story centered around the Joker, and obviously, but that part of the story that people are pointing to in terms of that actual weird image, which I'll show here in a little bit, is not part of like the main story on it. It's like they have it split up, and you have like the main story, which is like 20 some pages, and then there's another artist that does like 5 or 6 pages or so of this secondary kind of weird story that they put on the back. Is it canon? Is it? Who knows with DC these days? You can tell just in how kind of goofy the story is anyway. Like, DC is not really taking themselves very serious, certainly these days. So, for context, it's this part. It's this, it switches a little bit in terms of what happened at the end of that little arc that they were doing prior to on the previous pages. And we see Zatanna here, and she, of course, defeats Joker, and he lands in face first in this mud, and she, of course, steps on his head.
Hey, shout out to Ruin Leon. Hold on real quick. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. You the second person to give me a super chat. Hold on real quick. Because I'm in Restream. Restream don't ever show if there's like... It don't ever show if there's anything else attached to it. It just kind of just says super chat. If there's like... It don't ever show if there's anything... Alright, it didn't. Alright, I appreciate you, my man. Thank you. And thank you for stopping into the stream as well. Alright, we're going to get back to this real quick.
Panel right here. I'm not sure why it's not all the way zoomed in. But you can see on this panel right here. So what happens out of that is we go to the next page. He sleeps. He's sleeping in this Wonder Woman comforter. And he wakes up, and his assistant is telling him that he's pregnant. And as you can see, he's got a pop belly.
This right here, this is the panel I saw on Twitter when I was watching Gothics. And it's so funny, like right after I saw this panel on Twitter, and then I started reading through that whole thread, right? Somebody in her chat mentioned it. That's why I had to come to this video. This is insane.
This is where it gets weird. In that this Atomic Skull is... It's a weird image to even like... The fact that the editorial staff was like, dude, even if you had made it goofy, it's a comic at the end of the day, and it is Joker. So even if you made it goofy, like you were showing that, hey, he might have been pregnant, you could have did without showing this part right here. And this Atomic Skull is, as he would be as if he's at like a gynecologist or something, and he's got his all legs up, and Atomic Skull is sticking his head in between his legs, and it's like, dude, that's weird. But it is a scene, as you can see right here. It absolutely is a scene in the book, or a panel on the page in the book. It is not made up. It's real. It's bizarre. Now, again, with the text or the context, what ends up happening is that he throws up. You can barely see it. You can see it right here. Let me back out just a little bit. He throws up, and it's like, oh, well, maybe you weren't pregnant. He throws up right here, and he throws up the mud. And the mud is kind of sentient, if you will.
This is so weird.
And still kind of a weird story. And I will go to the last page that I have for you, and it's right here, where the mud ends up forming into like a version of himself, right? So yeah, it's like that. What was that movie that Schwarzenegger was in where he was pregnant or whatever? But yeah, it's kind of that whole deal, and it's a pointless story. It's not really anything. It's like, again, it's like 6 pages or something. It's pointless. It's not important at all. But you can see that he has a kid version of himself.
That he threw up. Joker
does. The company doesn't take itself serious. I say DC stands for Dead Company because that's what, to me, it stands for. It's a pointless book. And this is what I talk about all the time about what's going on with DC and Marvel as well, where they're just giving books to anybody, telling any goofy story. And a lot of this don't matter. Like, you could read this part of the book and you're like, what in the hell just happened? What is this? Why did you purchase this? Are the questions that you're generally going to ask. But it's because they believe more in the quantity as opposed to the quality situation. And so you have a lot of little pointless side limited series books here and there, and constant reboots. And we know DC is going all in on like this omniverse, where the multiverses have a multiverse. And it seems to be an effort to just give books to any old body, and you can write for DC a book. The lines are so blurred as far as what's canon, what's officially canon, what's not. And a lot of these weird writers are telling these goofy stories, but it's because DC's just giving them to them. They're not sending their best. They're not hiring the best guys for the job or anything of that nature. It's just giving guys goofy stories. And yes, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is the first goofy story that's happened.
It's not. I think years ago, I think they gave, I forgot what company, but like CM Punk was able to just like get paid to write comics at one point. And I think I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was just like the superheroes like playing poker or something. They did something like that. It was just a waste of a story. They didn't do anything. They're just sitting around playing poker, telling stories. I think that's what CM Punk got paid to write. And then it took forever for him to write and put that out because he kept saying he didn't know what to do and had writer's block. And it's just like, bro, how did you get that to begin with? I don't understand because you was a big wrestler at the time. Man, they could have paid me to write this, honestly. I would have never desecrated Joker like this with a stupid storyline. If anything, if you gonna have a mud baby or whatever, like somebody said in her chat, Deadpool would have made way more sense for that. This is just weird.
By DC, even surrounding the Joker, we've covered some of the goofy stories that had happened over the years, pointless books. But I think, to me, if there's anything, I can sit here, that's the easy part, rag on, okay, why is this whole panel is bizarre? And that is an easy thing to do. But I more so would like to just reiterate how the book is in itself, the issue is just, the entire issue is pointless. I guess you can say a little more is going on with this Joker. Definitely, if you read the first part of it, I'm not going to sit up here and spoil that part of it. I guess it has a little more meaning than what this part has, but still, these aren't stories that really matter. So you'll read this and forget about it, and none of the events are going to mean anything. Hell, definitely knowing DC, they'll be retconned out. If it even exists in the main timeline, it'll be retconned out of existence before you know it, because these stories aren't meant for readers anymore that are keeping up with it, because you'd waste your money for sure if you had purchased this, or if you had this a part of your pull list, because nothing's going on. Nothing going on is going on of importance. It's far more important, I guess, in the first half of it, but definitely this bit, it's just filler, right? It's just a nonsensical little 6 pages that they put in to make a book a little bigger to charge you $6 for it. But other than that, because I think it's like the entire book, the first part of the story is like 26 pages, 25 pages or something like that. And I think it has a couple of ads in there maybe, but I think it's like 25 pages. And then the entire book is like over 30 pages because it includes this bizarre part, which isn't that long at all. So you're giving your audience these bizarre books that don't really matter, and you're expecting them to invest in it. And I think that's where Marvel and DC, and this is just one of the latest examples of it, but this is where they fail their audience and they fail their customers, in that they continue to give you material that doesn't matter. It's meaningless, it's weird, it's pointless, it's bizarre, and you can tell that it's more of a free-for-all over there these days.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't remember the last time I bought a comic book, to be real with you. I used to get, at some point, I went from comic books to just getting the actual graphic novels. That just seemed like it was worth way more time of an investment, in my opinion. But even then, it just started getting bad. To be real with you, it just started getting bad. So I can't remember the last time. I know a girl I went to college with, her family actually owns a comic book store in one of the local malls, and it's just because nobody's buying anything anymore, so they pretty much break even or they're at a loss like every month. So yeah, it's bad. But all right, well, that was that video. I'm glad I got to see what was going on with there.